Welcome back to the Adventures of the Monad, which will look at life, the universe and everything. My name is Kazim Kamal-ul-Rahim. In this series, I ask the question, where do we come from, who are we, and where are we going? I post one presentation a week. Please subscribe to my website and hit the bell icon for notifications of future videos. You can also leave comments and join in forum discussions on my website. In my first presentation of the series on the 5 bodies of humanity, I started by pointing out that our bodies are borrowed. They do not belong to us. We are part of a collective, rather like a jellyfish. The important takeaway from recognizing that our bodies are independent beings in their own right is the fact that they have strengths and weaknesses. If we as monads wish to maximize our utility of these bodies, we have to be cognizant of their limitations. I started by looking at the physical body and pointed out that it is similar to other organisms that also have bodies with similar proportions. So the fact that we share 99.5% of our DNA with another primate should not surprise us. What differentiates us is the possession of a causal body. What is termed a physical envelope is defined by 1 atomic and 6 molecular subdivisions. The physical body I have been talking about so far is made up of tertiary matter on the 3 lowest planes of matter. These molecules would be inanimate were it not for the 3 higher molecular levels in this envelope. These molecules fall outside the spectrum of our 5 physical senses. Although we cannot see these molecules without our 5 senses, our lowest 3 levels would not function without them. This is where I begin to talk about our etheric body, which itself is divided into 2 halves. The etheric is the energy pack that drives our physical envelope in its totality. Our health and vitality stems from this body, not the biochemical processes occurring in the lowest 3 sub-levels of the physical body. If you have not already done so, please watch the first in this series, as there are a lot of other salient points I have mentioned in that presentation. I wish now to carry on and look at the physical etheric body. The physical etheric bodies remain intimately connected for the entire period of a monad's incarnation. Our monad controls both bodies through the 49-1 permanent atom. It is important to note that every other monad that makes up the tertiary matter in our physical bodies is surrounded by etheric matter. This matter itself is made up of tertiary matter. Our natural tendency is to focus on our macro bodies and present the etheric as a luminous envelope that surrounds our physical bodies. The point I'm making here is that the envelope surrounds every single cell in our body, but more than that, every tertiary monad itself that makes up that cell. Coming back to a more macro view of our bodies, every organ in our body is connected to a center in the etheric body. Think of it like 2 overlapping templates of matter, one denser than the other. It is not the physical body that perceives the world because organic matter lacks perception. It is the etheric matter that surrounds and infuses that organic matter that gives it the ability to perceive. For example, the sensory inputs gathered by our eyes are transmitted to your monad by the etheric body up to the 49-1 atom. However, the 49-1 atom is just a controlling hub. It is not where you would process the information coming into your eye. You cannot make sense of the image here. The etheric body acts as an intermediary between the physical waking consciousness and the higher subtle bodies. This connection between the lower and the higher subtle bodies is a two-way street. The refinement of the etheric body determines the quality and quantity of information that the waking consciousness can perceive from the higher subtle bodies. Increased refinement of the etheric also speeds up the reacquisition of latent abilities in an incarnation. This leads me to speculate that Mozart must have had a very refined etheric body if he was playing like a virtuoso and composing music under the age of 10. I have mentioned that the physical etheric being is composed of tertiary matter. Monads functioning at this level are inherently conscious and have a rudimentary memory. This allows these monads to learn from us. When I say us, I mean a quaternary level monad that is the controlling agent of this physical etheric being. When we learn to ride a bike or play a game of tennis, we are teaching our physical etheric body how to perform that particular task. Initially, we may be clumsy, but once a task is learnt, it is performed with grace and ease. That is a theory anyway. In a perfect world, we technically just initiate the action and the physical etheric body does the rest. When it comes to tennis, I have to conclude that I need to improve my circuits. When we walk across the room, we do not have to think about every single muscle movement. We learned that a long time ago as a child. However, think back to being a child. You can't, you forget. Look at the steps an infant goes through as it learns to move its limbs and eventually stand up and walk. Now you know what is going on. A communication and learning exercise is going on between the child's monad and the other monads in the physical etheric collective. The etheric envelope is one half of the physical etheric partnership. This partnership can only be broken at death. However, the etheric can be partially separated from the physical body by an accident, anesthesia or hypnosis. Note the word partially. This is crucial. When you have an accident, the damage done to the physical organism can also damage the etheric. This may cause it to partially dislodge. This is one of the explanations for the occurrence of a phantom limb syndrome in amputees. Ever wondered why you feel nothing when you are either locally or generally under an anesthetic? This is because a chemical anesthetic can temporarily separate the two halves of the physical etheric complex. Remember, they are still connected. It is just that the etheric is partially or completely outside the organic half of this envelope. Since the etheric body forms the sensory link between the organic physical body and the monad, it is if the etheric is no longer present, sensation is lost. That is a jolly good thing too when you are at your dentist. During the process of hypnotism, a showman performing this act can willfully project out part of their etheric to displace part of the subject's etheric. This technique can be self-administered if the person wishes to undergo surgery and not use an anesthetic. I personally would prefer to rely on the anesthetic. Performing such an action is a form of white magic, as you are using your consciousness to control matter. Misuse this ability, and it is called black magic. At the moment of death, the etheric body disconnects from the organic physical body. This happens when the life thread, the sutratma, is disconnected by your guardian angel. It usually takes the etheric body 3 days to dissolve after the life thread has been disconnected. However, as we all know, etheric shells are potentially visible to those sensitive enough to see. This can happen a long time after the incarnation has ended. I may discuss this phenomenon in a future presentation. Mediums, unlike clairvoyants, can lend their physical etheric bodies to discarnate beings from the emotional world. This allows them to use the medium's sensory apparatus to communicate with the world. This is a complete takeover of the body. Other mediums just lend their etheric bodies, which discarnate beings can shape into their appearance and materialize. the etheric body has not completely detached from the medium. This process is possible because the etheric body of the medium is loosely connected to its organic physical half. This is often related to the misuse of psychic powers or substances in past lives. I have spoken about an etheric template that is manufactured by the building divas before you are born. This template has subtle energy meridians in the etheric environment that magnetically guide the development of the physical body. This ensures the healthy development of the organic physical body. As we age, these fields weaken and the organic body has a harder time staying healthy. Ever wondered why your hair turns grey and then white when you age? It is all down to the strength of the flow of this etheric energy. Now, I am not saying that because you are grey-haired that you are somehow defective. Some of the finest people alive today have grey hair and are staring at you right now. It is just the case that the monad spends the first half of its life grounding itself into the organic half of its physical etheric body, and then spends the other half trying to extricate itself from it. This refocusing of the monad back to its higher envelopes of incarnation inevitably leads to a loss of energy focused into the organic body. Our etheric field can also be weakened by electromagnetic radiation and harmful etheric compounds that are released when the physical body metabolizes certain substances. Alcohol and tobacco are two good examples. I have mentioned how such substances can harm our etheric web, which is your protective shield against untoward influences affecting you from the emotional plane. The reason this happens is that all matter has an etheric component. When something like alcohol is processed eventually into acetic acid in the body, the etheric volatiles generated are somehow harmful to your etheric fabric. If the etheric field is damaged, it can cause all sorts of diseases. The most obvious of these is cancer. This particular complex of diseases arises from an imbalance in the etheric body that directs the cells to divide. Nervous diseases, digestive problems, and insomnia are also the result of similar imbalances. Anxiety often affects people evolving quickly due to high mental and emotional energies surging through their etheric body. Ever wondered what subtle energy actually is? Let's start with the etheric body, which is known as the energy body. Its function is to circulate prana. What is prana? You should already know that because you have already watched the first in the series of presentations. The job of prana is to keep the physical body vitalized. All energy is subtle matter. Note the word matter being used with an abstract concept like energy. We all know why that is. Subtle matter is simply matter with a higher than normal energy content. You could say that the motion part of the Holy Trinity is revolving more energetically. The most energetic atom in the universe is the one atom, otherwise known as the monad. In its pristine unconscious state, its function is to distribute what scientists call zero-point energy throughout the universe. However, the one atom is not the only provider of energy. There are three other types of material energy. These are composed of matter that is found on the 29th, the 36th, and the 42nd plane of matter. Ultimately, this energy is just composed of strings of one atoms, but they can be considered unique forms of matter energy in themselves, and they perform specific tasks. Now back to prana on the physical plane. It is distributed in a particular variety of 49 two-phase molecules. These molecules are composed of 7 49 atoms. Remember, the 49 atom itself is composed of 1.35 times 10 to the power 81 atoms. 1 atoms to be precise. This molecule of prana has a positive charge. Prana molecules are abundant in the atmosphere and can be seen with the naked eye. Stare at a vacant section of sky with no clouds. Do this for 10 seconds. You will see flying specks. Relax your eyes. Do not focus directly on these specks. This is not dust in your eyes, which you may be thinking right now. Prana is more visible on sunny days as the source of this energy is from the sun, so you expect it to be more abundant when sunlight is stronger. Prana is as important for the well-being of the organic physical body as is oxygen, water, and food. I have talked briefly about our chakras. I focused on the 7 major ones. Chakras are an energetic gateway that connects all our interlocking envelopes of incarnation. The spleen chakra is the one chakra I have not mentioned, but it is vital for our effective processing of prana. The etheric component of this chakra absorbs prana from the atmosphere. However, the etheric component of the spleen cannot process the prana during the day, while your body is awake and consuming large amounts of subtle energy itself. So, the spleen stores this energy and releases it at night when the muscles are completely relaxed. The etheric body switches from being a collector of energy to being a distributor. In this way, it recharges the organic, physical, and etheric bodies. This explains the strong recuperative effect of power napping. If prana is not available in abundance, as happens in the winter months in northern latitudes, people can suffer from a lack of prana in the atmosphere. This is called seasonal affective disorder, SAD. It is possible, however, to boost your prana by deep breathing and eating fresh, raw, or cooked vegetables. As mentioned in my previous presentation, 5 slightly different types of subtle energy pass through your etheric bodies every 2 hours, one every 24 minutes. 1 lung and 1 nostril are used in breathing, and this changes every 2 hours. The transitional period between the nostrils and lungs leads to balanced breathing, but this lasts for only 5 to 10 minutes. Have you ever seen an acupuncturist chart showing you all the activation meridian points available to them? What this chart is representing is a network of energy meridians found in the human body. If you thought the chart looked daunting, this is only showing you a fraction of the 72,000 meridian nodes. These are called nadis. So what exactly is a meridian? It's a thread of etheric matter that distributes subtle energy. Think about this for a moment. I'm saying this is matter. We usually tend to think of these meridians as lines of energy. They are, but remember, energy cannot flow by itself. It has to be attached to matter. So a meridian line is an actual physical structure made of tertiary matter. Process that and don't forget it. Only the major meridians are used in acupuncture. A chakra is formed when 2 or more meridians cross. The more meridians that cross at any given point, the more significant that chakra is. The 3 major meridians are often shown in diagrams associated with chakras. These 3 meridians link the lower 6 main chakras of the etheric body. It is interesting to note that the caduceus, the wand carried by the god Mercury and linked to medicine, is 2 snakes intertwined around a rod. These major meridians are the etheric counterpart of the spinal column and run from the base of the spine to the base of the brain. They are called the Sushumna, the Ida, and the Pingala. The Sushumna is the central channel which connects the etheric with the 3rd triad via the pineal gland. This represents the material bridge of the triad bridge and is sometimes called the noble middle path. You have heard of the Kundalini. Well, this energy, which comes from the unity plane 46, rises through the central channel at the 3rd and 4th initiations, I3 and I4. This lifts the monad's consciousness into the higher planes. However, to achieve this, you first need to balance your negative and positive energies. The Ida is the descending negative or feminine channel that connects the etheric with the 2nd triad. It represents the assistance afforded by the second triad in the building of the triad bridge, in this case from the top down. The Pingala is the ascending positive or masculine channel connecting the etheric with the other subtle bodies in the first triad. It represents the positive effort being made by the persona in the first triad to build the triad bridge. This it does from the bottom upwards. On another level, the Pingala represents aspiration and the Ida represents desire. In the book of Genesis, the Pingala is represented by Adam's aspiration to obey God, and Ida is represented by Eve and the serpent. This is the negative energy previously talked about, and it represents a descending spiral which led to the so-called fall. The Ida and Pingala form a circuit, spiraling around the central Sushumna meridian. The two channels do not cross over each other except at the base of the spine and the brain. It is these two channels that pass through the nasal sinuses and regulate the 2 hourly breathing cycles already mentioned. I have just touched on this critical set of energy meridians to let you know that they are there and are intimately linked with the whole process of initiation. I wish to leave it there for this presentation and will start to talk about the chakras in much greater detail in the next presentation. If you wish to read a transcript of the presentation or leave a comment, links to my website are in the description box below. Thank you.